Hey, everybody, what's up? It's Tipping the Scales. I'm Shay Dawson.
I'm Tania Rivers, aka T. Welcome back, Tippers.
Where did T Money go?
I don't know. I dropped it because I was told by several people that it wasn't good for my professional brand.
But anyway.
Boo!
Boo.
Exactly.
What's going on, T? How's your week so far?
It was good. Everything's going well. I had a great weekend. I felt good about the weather. Isn't it great when you have sunshine? Anything above 70 gets me excited. So it's like over 70 degrees. Went for a really good hike on Saturday. So things are great.
Man, and the Suns are playing well. Your son is playing extremely well. And I just saw yesterday, Monty was like, he needs to be defensive player of the year. Like, stop playing with the kid. He said, I'm not going to get into any Iron Man. But I was like, ooh.
Go ahead, Monty.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah, I'm really proud of Mikhail, though. He's playing hard. He's being aggressive. He was actually just texting me like, do I have a mother? I haven't heard from you today. And I'm like, dude, I'm busy. I've been in meetings. He's like, whatever.
Yeah.
It's funny how he thinks he could be busy, but I can't. I'm like,
I know. It's crazy.
Yeah, but he's playing well. I mean, last night he played 50 minutes and I was like,
50 minutes guarding the best players on the court. Like, it's insane.
Right? Yeah, I'm proud of that kid.
Mind you, he never tweets my things back, but it's cool. Mikhail, shout out to you.
Get him, Shay. You need to
calling him out.
No, like, kidding. No, you're too nice. Get him.
No, I totally
I will for you.
Just as long as he knows that I'm rooting for him and that, I think he's awesome. So,
we appreciate you.
All right. So what do we got today? We've got a lot to talk about.
It's a good topic.
Yeah.
It's a good topic because I think it happens to people a lot where you've heard of the terminology ghosting. Yeah. It's like you apply for a job or you have a conversation with a recruiter or you have a conversation with someone at the company and then you have good energy, you think you interview well, and then you just go from very much engagement to absolutely nothing. So we refer to that as ghosting. It happens all the time. So I thought it was worthy of us having a conversation about it.
It happens in life. It happens in relationships, not necessarily long-term relationships, but relationships when you meet people, when you're connecting. People have a lot going on in their lives, which they're not honest about. And, they may ghost people or even in friendships as well, or, potential friendships. Ghosting is, in my opinion, probably some of the worst things you can do.
I agree.
It's definitely, some people feel like it's justified because they don't want to deal with, communicating serious information. But I think, people got to do better.
Yeah. And look, no one likes to, think about how it makes you feel. No one likes to be left hanging, just wondering and thinking about what has happened. What happened? Did I say something wrong? When it just takes you a few minutes to close the loop, whether you are on board or you decided to go in a different direction, you owe it to that person out of just sheer respect to close the loop and not keeping someone in limbo.
But some people don't feel like they owe it. They feel like
they should,
it's their decision.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to take the extra step and close the loop or give someone, a much needed context to something that, because what happens is you start to tell yourself a story that you don't know the answers and you can't.
I'm good at that. I'm like, I'm connecting my own dots. Thank you.
and it kind of makes you go, damn, did I do something wrong? Did I say something and so your mind's just constantly left wondering what happened, which it's just an awful place to leave people,
Yeah.
Have you ever ghosted someone?
I probably have, definitely. And I remember a time where I forgot to close a loop on someone with someone.
Yeah.
And the person followed up and just shared just their disappointment.
Yeah.
And I apologize, but that was an aha moment for me because from that point forward, I made it my duty to make sure that I close the loop because I don't want people to feel that way. And I also just put myself in that person's shoes to say, you've interviewed for the role. You spent time, time is money, time is everything. And we don't have a lot of it. And there's so much that we're trying to fit in a day. And if someone is giving you their time, whether it be to apply for a job or especially interview, because they're showing up and it takes time and energy and resources. Right. And for you not to close the loop with that person is just, to me, it's just poor character. And when people do that, I said, I probably didn't want to work for that person, or I didn't want to work with that staffing agency or whoever it is, or that recruiter or that recruiter. It just wasn't that's not a good look of your brand when you do that to people, for sure.
No, definitely. And it's kind of like emotional, not warfare, but like sometimes people use it as control, right? Like, when they know they have the upper hand to walk out or ghost or not follow up. It's like a weird place to be in, when, let's say you want something really bad, you want to connect with that person, you're feeling, like you said, you feel in that situation and that person knows that. It's almost like sometimes they can use that as like, well, I have the power over that situation, so I can choose not to. And then a lot of people who do ghost, they usually come back. You know what I mean? Like, and then how do you respond when they do come back? Because you wanted it so bad and you didn't get the closure. And then you kind of like, you feel like you know what you're going to say if they do come back, and they come back and you're like, damn, I didn't say what I wanted to say.
You know what? I have to give this gentleman's name and give him a shout out. I was on LinkedIn the other day, and it was a t-shirt that I actually went on the website and ordered because it was just awesome. His name is Nick F. Nelson. Okay. And Nick F. Nelson, on his LinkedIn post, he posted, it was a little t-shirt. It said, I'm that song that you skipped and later on found out that it was fire. I was like, love that. Yes. Like, how cool is that? Like, I'm that song that you skipped, and then later on you found out that it was fire. So he had a website to go to, and I ordered that t-shirt immediately.
You did?
Yeah, in yellow.
Was it his company, or
was it was somewhere else?
Okay.
But he was making a point because people were skipping over his post and not giving him the opportunity. And how many times where, I think this is part of that overall experience where you were skipped over. Like, that's a whole, even when you're ghosted, like you're being skipped over, and shame on you. You could be really missing out on some wonderful humans that could be working for your organization, and you don't even know because you haven't, you didn't give them the due diligence that you were supposed to do.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you don't get what you want because you deserve better. And people have to realize that.
Love that.
You know what I mean? Like, sometimes it didn't go that way for you. Just, you were meant for more. And you are being protected by the universe, by God, however, you see it. That is what it actually really is.
Yeah. That's the hardest part though, right? Yeah. Because we can't see past that. I could think about me when I would apply for a job and I'm looking for something specifically. And then, I'm interviewing, especially for me at the roles I'm applying for. I mean, there's normally like, I have to interview with at least 5 people.
Yeah.
And I put
for an HR role.
At my level, like it's like at least 5 people that I'm interviewing with. And
it's a lot of energy.
A lot of energy.
Yeah.
And I recall an experience where I've interviewed for the job. And if you don't, like, you are just so vested, like, especially when
in the process,
or just about the opportunity too, right? That you put so much time and energy into that, and preparation alone, and just, you're kind of like on this emotional roller coaster, because I think if you have a good, I mean, I can't say everyone, but I would say most of us know if you interview well, if you didn't, like, you kind of, I'm harder on myself. I'm like, I should have said 1,000 different things.
Oh my God, me too. I always.
But you kind of have an idea of where you landed based on how that conversation went. And if things are going well and you have someone on the other end of the horn or on the computer telling you great things, that things are fantastic, and they go from that to nothing, like that's criminal in my opinion. Like, in my opinion, for sure.
It's diabolical. I totally agree. To have someone, play with your emotions, get you all excited, and, you're hanging on that person's or company's word, and something happens that we have no idea what happens. And then they are forced to make a decision. Sometimes they feel like they don't need to let us know what that is, which, again, like you said, it's a reflection of them. But what are you going to do about it? You know what I mean? Like that's what this podcast is about. Like when you are ghosted, if you are ghosted, what are you going to do about it?
How do you pick up?
You're going to cry over spilled milk. You're going to, you know, have them always in your sights thinking about, you know, oh, well, they missed out. Yeah, you can say that. But the best thing you can do, in my opinion, is to continue living your life, continue being amazing, continue to put out good energy, right? Yeah, because ghosting is diabolical.
Yeah, I think
that's why I try not to do it. I probably have, but I would say the times I have ghosted people, they were toxic and they needed to be ghosted and they didn't need to be explained, because if you give them an opportunity to have that last conversation, they're going to manipulate you and you're going to be stuck back in the situation.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine if you choose to go in a different direction, and then there's no conversation. You don't have to respond to an email. Yeah. But I do think it's worth sending a quick email to saying, hey, we decided to move in a different direction.
I'm talking about in a relationship, but yes.
You switch gears. Are you talking about, I'm
kind of going back and forth because I think ghosting is something that happens across the board in your life, right?
Oh, yeah. I agree. But okay, so before we talk, because I have probably, I didn't know you're talking about relationships, because I definitely have ghosted a few.
I was just talking about ghosting in general. I wasn't really being
I've ghosted. So yeah, I've relationship wise, I'm like, goodbye, see you later. You came at me with some crazy stuff. You don't even deserve a response, you weirdo. But for professional wise, like, have you ever been ghosted?
No, because I've never been ghosted. One, because every time I've gotten a job, it's been word of mouth. It has never been like I'm applying or looking on LinkedIn. I've never gotten a job that way. I've only gotten a job by word of mouth. Someone saying, Shay, you'd be perfect for this. Let me introduce you to X. Now, I feel like that way, if I was to be ghosted, that would have been a horrible situation.
Oh, wow.
Because you know what? No, I guess I wasn't technically ghosting. No. But I did have somebody come and headhunt me, and then we interviewed and everything, and it went well, and then they didn't give me the job. And I was like, that was weird. So I did have that happen.
Yeah, I think that happens to some of us. And sometimes
I did have that happen, but I don't think that's ghosting.
No, that's not ghosting. They just chose someone else. And you don't know what your competition look like. Like, exactly. We all think that we're fantastic, but
like, oh my God,
people are more qualified than we are.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I had an opportunity, not for a job. I agree. Like not for a job, but there was an opportunity where I remember there was a search firm that reached out to me just saying, hey, here's an opportunity. I think this would be a great opportunity for you based on your background. Would love to chat with you, to talk to you more about this opportunity.
Yeah.
And I replied with my availability, like, hey, let's have a conversation. Reply with my availability. The person took like 3 days to respond. I'm like, that's odd.
That's
like,
weird.
You're asking me about an opportunity, and the person took like 3 days to respond. But then I responded back like, no problem. I know we're all busy. Here's my availability. Like, always assume positive intent, right? So I did that. And then afterwards, the person responded like, no, I don't think the person responded at all. I think I gave my availability and that was it. I'm like, that's weird.
Yeah.
But again, I just think I didn't care too much about it. I just still think it's unprofessional for sure. Yeah. And it just puts your organization or your search firm or your business in a very negative light. Let me tell you something. This world is too small. We all know each other. Like, it's funny because I was telling someone something personal, and I was like, please don't tell anyone. And the person was like, I don't know anyone that knows you. I'm like, that's not true. Like, I looked at our LinkedIn, we got like 110 shared connections. So that's not true.
Right.
Please just keep your mouth shut. But
exactly.
Don't assume, but I just say that remember the experience that you're providing people. Yeah. Because you never know, there's going to be someone that knows you and they're going to remember that experience, especially in a type of organization where your goal is to get business that's how you make money. So if you are not doing well and not giving your candidates great experience, and we're going to remember who you are, and we're going to tell everyone that we know that, hey, you should probably think about using this search firm because this search firm is not the best.
Yeah.
And word of mouth is just so important. So that's why it's so important to give good experiences.
No, I totally agree. And now that you are taking my mind somewhere else, I have definitely been on the back end of someone that I know, or a couple people actually, this happened a couple of times, were excited about opportunities that I was a gatekeeper for, that didn't treat me well. When they didn't know what I did or anything like that. They didn't have any time for me. They didn't, they ignored me or just, shrugged me off. And then when it came down to it, somebody was like, so what do you think about so-and-so? And I was like, I mean, I don't really have much, you know what I mean? Like I had to give a stamp of approval that I couldn't give. And so
never know who you're,
you see what I'm saying? Kind. Like you said, like, like the world is small, and best believe it. And especially if you're a good person. If you're a good person, those good people know good people, because good people like to connect, to other good people. So it's like, yeah, you got to be careful. And it's definitely come back to where the person treated me like shit. And then on the other end was like, oh, do you know my friend Shay? And the person's like, no. And then next thing you know, I'm like, oh yeah, you don't know me. But now, I mean, we had an interaction and it was not a good one. And now you see that person like squirming on the other end. Like, yeah, you treated me like shit. And I didn't address it, but I'm like, I know. And I won't out you because I want you to say something. You know what I mean? Like I've had that situation before. It's actually kind of a satisfying situation or a feeling.
Yes. But but that just goes to show that treat everyone kind and treat everyone with respect, because you never know that person, who that person is. And just because that person did not interview you, they may be asked. I ask people all the time, like even the receptionist at the desk, what did you think about so and so? And don't ever treat someone less than because of a title or what you assume to be someone who's not powerful or a decision maker. Like, just be respectful. And I think if you are a decent human, then you should want to treat everyone with respect, no matter what their role is in the organization.
Yeah. Oh my God. And then I thought about it too. I'm like, I work with athletes. I get ghosted all the time.
They just don't have time.
They ghost me all the time. They just don't have time to text back.
Yeah.
They, times where they don't show up. You follow up, they might respond, then they'll respond again. Yeah, I've been ghosted. I've been ghosted a lot in my life.
Yeah. I mean, the more you think about it, you start to really think about, because you're like, not just in an interview process, but but you know what? It brings up a good topic, because we just talked about how important it is to be kind and treat people with respect, because this world is just so small. And, we all in this universe kind of know someone that knows someone.
Yeah.
But I also think what gets tricky is when you use data that you may have received to be the end all be all from one person. Yeah. And you got to be very careful, because let me tell you this, like there are times where I've personally seen that someone may have not been great in a certain role, and you put them in another position or you put them under another leader and they soar and they're and they are freaking fantastic.
Yes.
But you never gave that person an opportunity, because that person just, either didn't do well in your organization or either didn't do well under this certain leader who couldn't tap into that person's power. And when you set them up for success, then that person soar, right? So I just encourage people to be mindful of just listening to one person's side of the story and have that be your decision making. You're making your final decision based on that, because that's wrong. And you never know someone else's experience as well.
Right. That is so true. I would say I haven't ever been on the side where, I've changed positions, but I've seen people miserable in a particular role. One, because either they misrepresented themselves, not on purpose, really wanting the job, really wanting to get into the organization, and misrepresented themselves. So doing something they love. And then over time talking to them and suggesting like, you should go talk to your boss about doing this role because, it's either opening up or it needs more support. Sure. And seeing that person switch over and excelling and being like, oh my God, thank you for just like giving me that idea. I'm thinking like, you gave me the idea by telling me how much you hated the role or how you wish you would have said this in the interview process. And then me just being like, why don't you just talk to her about it? And then that's not even something that sometimes leaders even think about. So just having other people that can, see from the outside and say, like, suggest that, like, and also having a safe environment at a workplace that allows that, where it's like, hey, I know you brought in this person in X role, but what if they're better suited? And because some people get really like territorial as well.
Yeah,
So
I
it's
agree.
about having a safe space too to do that, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I could think about a time too, just like a personal experience, because we've all had, and we talked about this on a previous episode where we've had, great leaders and some not so great leaders.
Mhm.
And I remember a time where I did not have a great leader, that this leader, I felt, treated others differently than they did me. And I was also set up where I was, doing, let's say, one role, and then I was asked to do a lot more without really a change in my compensation. But my role like went from, let's say it like more than quadrupled and not really seeing a change in my compensation. So of course, I'm not going to be my best. I
Mm,
needed more resources.
mm.
To have the resources that I needed. And that was hard. And of course, if you rated how I was in the role, I probably wasn't my best. I didn't have the resources. I didn't feel supported. I didn't feel appreciated. And I had a leader that did not treat me fairly like he did everyone else.
Mhm.
And that's going to be so. If you get feedback from that person, then perhaps that feedback's not going to be favorable because I wasn't set up for the right situation. And
Right.
how unfair is it for you to share that experience when one, you don't know my side of the story, you don't know my version, but you're sharing something negative that's going to prevent me or someone else who had a similar experience to get a job? Like that is that's awful, right?
Yeah. And
Because
how can you be your best if you're
mm,
feeling resentment
mm,
from the way they're
mhm,
managing you and the feedback that you're getting and not hearing you, not
yeah,
listening to you,
yeah,
right? Like
yeah,
you're resenting
and
I'm sure you're typing like this,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Texting back like this, like all of that takes energy.
Yeah, it takes
Yeah.
energy, and it's just, what's sad, this, and I know that there are so many different people who can relate with me on this, is that you step out of the situation. So now you're out. They
Yeah.
hire someone, your replacement, and they set this person up. One, this person is making a salary that you're supposed to get, like almost a lot more than what you were making.
Yes.
And then they give this person a lot more resources. And you're like, oh, this person is great. Well, yes, because you set them up to be great. So think about, are you setting that person up for success? But don't block someone's blessing because of an experience that you had when you know you didn't do right by that person. That is so wrong. And it
Talk about it.
happens all the time.
Well,
It's not
talk
right.
about it. Maybe he or she wanted you out
Mm,
and they pushed you out and you couldn't
yeah.
recognize it. And they wanted you to crumble and then you did. And then,
Or you
you
pulled
know,
out. Like for me, I didn't crumble. I just said, I'm out. Like
yeah.
this is not the experience that I want. And and let's talk about what's the right way to move forward from this where I can feel appreciated, but at the same time, that's not the right way to
So
handle
when
it.
you say you're out, did you ghost?
Now, I just said like this is what I need in order to make
You
things work for
communicated.
me.
Yes.
Yeah, as I transition into another
You
opportunity,
communicated.
but I 100% communicate. It wasn't just like, no, I'm a professional. I'm not just going to disappear. Like
Yeah, that's what I'm
that's
saying. And so,
unacceptable. But I'm going to
exactly.
give you feedback on what happened, and you might not like the feedback, and you may think that we all have our different experiences, is right, and how we experience one thing can be very much different than someone else.
Yeah.
So you may have a different perspective, but don't hate. Hate is not good.
Hmm.
And I am so tired of haters out there that are blocking other people's opportunities because of something that you've heard.
Hmm.
Keep your damn mouth shut unless you have all your facts.
Yeah. But haters aren't going to keep their mouth shut. Haters hate. That's what they do. But when you get hating on that you got some good.
Yeah, that's true.
Because haters don't hate on people who don't have anything good. They leave
Mhm.
those people alone.
It just doesn't feel good though when you're hated on and it blocks something that you really wanted. Now, in hindsight, I'll tell you, because my parents, my mother and my stepdad, they're a minister. So my mom would say 100% that wasn't meant for you. that God shut the door because there's something else that he had in store for you. So I do receive that. However, it doesn't feel good when when you really want something.
Yeah.
And because of someone else they got in your way, it's just not cool.
Yeah. But there are lessons there. And that's another reason that things happen to us. Lessons on how to train yourself to when you have an opportunity in front of you to say one or two things can happen. Either I get it or that I don't and it feels shitty.
It feels very
I got to train myself for the worst part. I've got to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. But when we hope and hope and hope for the best and we never think about the bad scenario, that's when we get messed up. And you have to train yourself to do that all the time in relationships with things that you want, because the universe is listening and sometimes it doesn't give you what it wants.
Yeah.
It gives you what you need. So that's why you constantly have to do the work. And that is filling yourself with text from books, things like that, where you're like, right now, I feel I want to scream. I want to cry. I want to lash out. I want to send messages. I want to do whatever that I know is not appropriate at the time of my emotions, at the height of my emotions. But you got to resort back to the things, your habits when in stressful situations, right? Like your training. It's almost like your self-training. Like you have to resort back to your training, and that's what you constantly have to do in life is train yourself for the worst possible scenarios. And training yourself to be ghosted is something we all have to do because it could possibly happen to any of us.
Yeah, it happens. And look, I do think though, don't be afraid to share feedback. So if there is an opportunity where you are ghosted and you don't hear back, I mean, you don't ever want to get to a point where you constantly keep following up. But I do think if you know you were expecting someone to close the loop and that never happened, then it's okay to just follow up to say, hey, I was expecting to hear from you. I would love to get feedback, or just do your part.
You actually taught me that. You taught me that. Yeah. Yeah. It's okay to send feedback.
Yeah.
You know, because I think I was like, no, I ain't gonna send no feedback because
you're so tough. Yeah, you're like, I'm
yeah.
good.
No, I'm good. I did my training.
They don't know what they missing out.
You know, I did my training. Like, and it's like, no, it's okay, Shay. Even if they didn't close the loop, it might help you get over ghosting by you following up one last time and expressing your feelings to that employer, or person that you were pursuing or wanted to have a friendship with, and saying, hey, I know that didn't work out or whatever the last situation was, but just wanted to share, thanks, or whatever it is. Sometimes you might not want to use the word thanks, but just sharing feedback in general, like I think it helps the person who's been ghosted. Yeah. Because then you can say that was my final thing. I did what I can do and I'm moving on.
Yeah. And
taking back your power, basically.
Kind of letting it go too.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Another thing too, and I think about too, like, so switching gears, going from professional to personal. Oh, I think sometimes they cross. I don't know. Sometimes
I know I've been talking about both. Excuse me.
But sometimes they cross paths, because I'm thinking about telling people things, and this is something I learned the hard way, is don't always think that people who either are your friends or your allies or who they truly are, because it can come back and bite you, because you're thinking that you are sharing information to a trusted resource, and that person does something that either hate or get in your way or share information that they shouldn't, and then that can stop or block your opportunity. So just be so mindful of that, because I can tell you, right? Because I am a very trusting person.
Me too. We both are.
Sometimes I talk too darn much.
Me too.
I get so mad at myself. Like,
shut up.
Yeah, shut up, Tania. Why would you tell that person that?
Yeah, me too.
And I've, shared something with someone, and I definitely shouldn't. And when I did it, I noticed that some things on the other side of that was happening was a direct correlation to that person sharing something they wasn't, and then someone else got involved and sprinkled a little hate on the situation.
Oh, so you worse when you share.
You have to be careful.
Like, you got to hold it to your chest.
I know.
Hold it close to your chest. Yeah.
Yeah. a good friend of mine had said to me at the time, she said, T, you are too trusting. You got to learn how to hold close to your vest. And
I'm better, but
I am trying really hard, but I am a very trusting person. And might consider you a friend or ally. And I will tell you experience, things that happen. But,
yeah.
it's so bad when someone else goes out of their way to do something to prevent you from something. Isn't that just terrible? Like you just
Yeah.
go out of your damn way to block someone on something that they're trying to do. Like that's just
Or when
terrible.
they turn your information into some tea. Like
Mm,
when I told you that, that's not tea. I'm sharing
yeah.
that from person to person because I needed
I thought
to
you were
either
an
get
ally.
some
I thought you were
advice or
their
I needed
friend.
to,
Yeah.
yeah. And you turn it into some tea, like, ooh, guess what Tania told me, or guess what Shay told me? Like, oh, you a hater. Like
Oh,
you
that's
are a hater,
bad.
boo. Like you a hater. Like, but that's okay
Yeah.
because the universe and the karma is coming right back.
It's coming back,
It's coming back.
unfortunately, for you.
Yeah.
You know
Fortunately for us.
what? Yes. I was talking to a good friend of mine. Shout out to Carlise. Hey girl.
Hey, Carlise.
And I was talking to her this morning, and she was saying how just things that she's seen is really bad, that in terms of like the Black community is the worst at not supporting one another.
Mm-hmm.
And that just made me really sad to hear that.
In what way?
Just like either, especially kind of professional way to help other people get jobs and opportunities, or to kind of help someone along. She's like, she felt as if we are the worst at
I
doing
don't
that.
know. I don't know. I feel
And
like
I'm like,
we
I mean,
getting
I've seen
better,
it. Yeah.
but I
I
don't
mean,
know if we
but
the worst.
I don't know, like, but when you think about other people outside of
But
our
we really don't
community,
know though, because we're not in those communities. We
we
only know
don't
our
know, but
communities.
right, you only know what you experience, right? So
That's what I'm saying.
it's hard to say, but I do think that as a community that we can do better to help other people. I will say that
Mhm.
we can do a lot better in that space to help someone else out along the way.
Yeah, because I can say
Yeah.
that about women too. Like I think women are a lot
Especially
better, but
we
you
just said that
you
about
know what I mean?
how we have to
Yeah.
support one
So
another as women.
exactly. And I just think that, people hate in proximity too. Like, if I want a job, I'm trying to be head of athlete relations. I'm trying to be head of, it is lit. Like there might be some competition there, maybe that person doesn't want to support me. Now that's why I tell people, like, I try to do so much deep work because there are times when I could be petty, but I'm like, no, if this one God wants for that person, who am I to hate on it? Who am I to block that? It's
That's
not for
bad.
me.
That's
Right. And
bad.
and I'm
Yeah.
not saying that sometimes that doesn't creep into my mind, but I can't live with myself. I can't sleep at night knowing,
How do you sleep at night knowing that you
you know what I mean?
taking
Like I
food
don't
out of someone's mouth, or
know.
you blocked the opportunity that could be great for them? Like,
No.
how do you sleep at night
Right.
doing that? Like, I don't
Right.
get that.
I know. That's what I'm saying. So again, I don't know about other communities. I think we're getting better. I'll say that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to tag us as that, but I definitely know that there are
There's
some.
room for improvement. I think
But
I could just
again,
say that.
most things stem from systemic racism. Like the divide between a lot of people have happened in a long time. It has us competing, in fashion and clothes. Who got the better shoes? Who got the better whatever? I got money, you don't. Like
Mm-hmm.
I just think a lot of the problems that we have in the Black community are caused by systemic racism. So I try to be mindful about how I say things or what I say, just because like we've been programmed.
Yeah. But you
You
got to
know,
break the cycle. It's
yeah,
just as simple as
exactly,
that. Like, you can't say
exactly.
that this has happened and it's an excuse to keep continuing down that same cycle of not
Yeah,
being supportive,
that's what they
of
want.
not helping people, of not,
Sharing information.
sharing
You know what I mean? Where
information.
you got your shirt from? If I got it from TJ Maxx, like, why I gotta tell you, TJ Maxx, the one on Peachtree. That, like, I need to let people know, because like, all right, maybe they wear it different, maybe they style it different. Like, what does it matter if we have the same shirt? What does it matter if I got money and you got money? Like, it's
I mean, we just talked about on a previous episode when we were celebrating women, on I think it was International Women's Day,
mhm.
on how can we help another woman out?
Yeah, we
How
did talk
can
about that.
we, how can we make a difference in the life of someone else? We actually had it as a goal that we gave, I think, 30 days. So I hope that, those of you who are listening out there or watching on our YouTube channel, have actually taken that very seriously because, again, I think that we are put on this world to help others. And there's, when I think about all the things that I have been blessed with, I've been blessed because I am always willing to help someone out, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
I am, I am committed to that.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I continuously like why I'm blessed.
Yeah.
But the moment that you become so close or self-centered and you're only thinking about yourself, then you're missing out on so much more.
Yeah. And it goes back to that, like, everybody knows somebody. And speaking of women helping women, literally something that I helped another woman a few years ago with just working through some interview questions and also just some directional things about where they were going in their career. And she was figuring it out at this time. Now she works at the New York Liberty, and she gave me a spot on her Sunday shout outs and posted me on the New York Liberty WNBA page and leaned back and like she's literally
Love
like, I'm so
that.
happy that my job allows me to give people their flowers while they can still smell them. That's what she said to me,
Love that.
and literally contacted me, asked me a few questions, and it was just a dope experience just to have someone that you met, and I didn't even meet her in person, that you met online and talking through things. And then she was like, yeah, let me, lean back and give Shay a little shout out. And I was like, wow. So that was super cool to be recognized by a WNBA team.
And
I mean, one being a
congratulations.
woman, right? I always wanted to be kind of in the WNBA. I didn't want to try out, but I just, I'm like, damn, I wish I would have done that. But like, that was so cool for me. So
Yeah, well, one,
I appreciated that.
congratulations, very well
Shout out to Barb.
deserved. Hey, Barb,
Hey,
thank
Barb.
you. Thanks for helping out another woman in your
Yep.
in your network, which is
Yep. She
amazing.
got a friend for life in me. So
Yay! But look, well deserved. So,
yeah.
a job well done, Shay.
Thank you so
But
much.
that is exactly what I was looking for. Just
Mm-hmm.
something on the lines of how can we help someone else?
Yep.
How can we pull another woman up? How can we help someone else that may need something, whether it be a connection, an introduction, or advice? There's so many different things that you can do
Yeah.
when it comes to helping people. Like in my family, the first thing that comes to mind is like, can I get a couple of dollars when I think about helping? And I'm like,
Mine too.
stop it. Helping doesn't mean that I am physically coming out of my pocket every time. There's other
Right.
ways that I can help
Right.
out.
Right.
So I just encourage all of us to, help someone out. Right? It doesn't matter if you're a woman or a man or who you're helping. It just means how can you get out of your own space to reach out to help someone else.
No, that's so true. And you know, what other ways, can you help people besides giving a couple dollars? Like, what
Mhm.
do people need these days? I feel like the needs of the world change all the time. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know.
Well,
I feel like,
I know
yeah,
for
go.
me, I am a board president of Second Chance Mission. It's a non-for-profit organization that is really meant to we take a holistic approach to homelessness. So not just providing shelter and food, but job readiness, like just getting people from because when you are homeless, your life kind of goes on pause, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
how do you help those in need get back on track? That they can get back to fully functioning in the world when their lives have been on pause. So that's something that's very important to me. So I do a lot where I may you write a course and share it on interviewing skills on, I may donate clothes. I may go and work and do and feed the homeless at shelters and things like that. So I'm always thinking it's that mindset, my mom, you think about my parents, like, they lived their lives to helping others. So naturally, that's something that I learned from them. But I do think there's so many different ways that you can do that, in your own communities that we
Hmm.
can help those who are in need.
Yeah, I gotta step my game up because I do what I can when I can, but I would say it's nothing consistent. So I
Yeah.
definitely can bump up that part um, of the service leadership style
Yeah. To
that
do
I'd
more.
like to embody. Yeah,
I always think that we can all do more. But I think what I can appreciate, Shay, is one, just calling it out. And
yeah,
then two, which I know you would do because it's just who you are, is being very action oriented.
Yeah.
To say,
Oh, well.
okay, yeah, that's just who you are. But
Yeah, human connections, that's my thing. Yeah. Like,
yeah,
why
like,
not?
okay, I know I need to do more, but and here's how I'm going to do it. So I just think that it's something that we all can do to just to, pay it forward. Like we are blessed in so many different ways. And how can you be a blessing to someone else?
No, literally. I literally realized, like, I don't know if it was the other day, but when you start to think about things that happen around the world, like
Mm-hmm.
the fact that I have the privilege to look on my phone at someone else's plight, like, people in Ukraine and
Mm.
things that are happening, just with, the African immigrants in Ukraine, like people not like, and I'm just thinking like, wow, like I'm rich. You know what I mean? Like I'm rich in so many other ways, not
So many different
financially, but
ways.
just like all the things that I get to do. And I do sometimes get that like guilt, like, oh my God, like how did I end up here? Like, how did my life end up over here? I don't know. I get in those modes where I'm like, I have to be thankful. Like, I have to say a prayer right now. I have to thank
So be
God. I have to
thankful.
really, really just not take this stuff for granted. Try not to complain. I was telling my mom the other day because we have valet trash, and I'm like, really, like really valet trash? Like, I can't even take out my own trash, and it's not that I can't, obviously, but that just comes with where I live. But it's like stuff like that I'm like, I need to make sure that I'm grateful. I need to make sure that I give. I need to make sure that I make sure other people are okay. Like I need to make sure, like whether it's financial, whether it's time, whether it's this podcast, whether because we are giving to the world every time we get on this mic.
Mm-hmm.
It's
And we
like,
hope that we can help.
you know,
You get something, even if you take away one nugget that's going to make you different tomorrow than you were today,
mm,
then that makes me feel that just validates that it's a job well done. That because that's all we want you to do is just take away one nugget that you can walk away and commit to doing something different, that's going to change who you are, or one little facet of who you are. Then we're doing our jobs.
amen. Well said. I got nothing to add to that.
And I think last but not least, since we're on this subject too, is, you especially as it relates to careers, you know, what is something that you can do, in your own career that is gonna, when we talk about, since we're on this topic about helping
Yeah.
and reaching out, what is something that you can do in your own network that's going to help someone else be able to get a job? Because there's so many people who, I mean, the good thing is a lot of people are leaving jobs and there's a lot of positions out there,
Mm-hmm.
but we all know it's not, it's a combination of what you know and who you know. But when you have that connection to someone, it just makes life a lot easier. So there are so many different people just, I know, in networks looking for jobs. And
Yeah.
I just love if we can help those out. So we talk about hate, like the opposite of hate is love. And how can you show a
Yeah.
little bit of love and help someone else who may be seeking another opportunity to help get them in front of the right person? I just think it's
That's a
the
good
right thing to do.
question. It's a good
Mm-hmm.
question. So I would say what I do is I vet people before the job is even available.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I meet people and I see something, a sparkle in their eye, pep in their step, purpose in their walk, I'm like, I don't know what we'll need, but I know we're going to need something that you got coming up. And whether
Mm-hmm.
that's a month, whether that's a year, whether I go to a different job. So I already vet people. Like I already, as if they're interviewing. So I ask questions like, what drives you? Like, what do you want to do next? Like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Those typical questions I ask. I actually met a girl today who she's been in a position that she's in for a really long time and she wants to be challenged.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to ask 5 questions in order for her to get that out because I didn't know her. I just met her through another person. I already got her contact and everything. I was like, you know what? I don't have any job openings or anything like that, but I can tell she's special. I was like, I don't have any job openings. We're not looking for anyone now, but just send me your resume. Like, I just want to have it on file. I think you're awesome. Let's just keep in touch. And I kind of just like have a Rolodex of those type of people. So when I do hear things come up, boom, I either shoot it to them directly or I already tell the hiring manager, I got the perfect person. And that actually happened at OTE. Shout out to Marissa Flagg.
And shout
Marissa.
out to OTE. You guys
and shout out to OTE.
fire.
Thank you. We doing our thing. Marissa was coaching at Seton Hall, women's basketball coach, and she'd been coaching there. God, I don't want to get this wrong, but maybe like 7 to 10 years or whatever. I think around the 7-year mark. And she's like, I'm just looking for something different, but a challenge. I want to see what else my skills, can do after, being an assistant coach for so long. And then a friend that I worked with at NBA Summer League told me about her way before I even reached out to her. I'd followed her on social media. I watched her just just wanted to see what she was about. Boom. And then something opened up and I was able to, put her name in the hat, and she ended up getting the job. One, because she's phenomenal, not because of my recommendation, but I just had the trigger ready. Like I had already had a couple people vetted for certain things. And so she had got the job. So I'm like, God, it felt so good just to I already have the right person to pull the trigger on. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't need to do anything else. I'm like, all I needed to say is I got the perfect person. And then everyone she interviewed with, they were like, she's great. And I'm like,
that is awesome.
Yeah.
Because what you were doing then, Shay, it's kind of building your own talent pipeline.
Yes.
And that's what's important. That's what we all should be doing. Like I always say to people, especially leaders in our organization, is you should always have your recruiter's hat on. I don't care where you are. You can be visiting a bank and the bank teller is phenomenal. You're like, oh, this person will make a great sales associate because they have all the attributes that you're looking for, because they're outgoing and friendly and can do well with making connections. Like never take your recruiter hat off. You should always be vetting for talent and putting folks in your pipeline and staying in touch with people in your pipeline, because you never know that person or someone in that talent pipeline can be ready and willing and be the perfect person for an opportunity. So, we should always be having our recruiter's hat on, even at a grocery store, no matter where.
And everything's about timing. Like I said, at the time, there was nothing at the moment for her, but I knew once it came about, and and a couple jobs opened up where I had socialized it, but the last one was that's her. So
we come across so many amazing people
exactly
in our lifetime. And it could be on a flight. How many times you sit next to someone and you're like, you're phenomenal. Let's exchange information. And that's someone who you can put in your talent pipeline and just keep in touch with. And again, it's just expanding your network and growing your network. And that person can either be a resource to you or you can be a resource to that person. So let's just, make sure that we can continue to be open and there's times when I'm sit down, I'm exhausted, I'm tired.
Me
I
too.
don't want to say anything. I'm like, leave me alone.
Me too. But you'll feel that energy. Sometimes you feel the energy. Sometimes someone's doing too much and you're just like, yeah, I'm gonna go sleep. And then there's sometimes where you're like, that was really nice of that person to hold my bag and put it up. It's like the chain of events that get you to talk to that person. But sometimes, you get on and you want to go sleep.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I actually had somebody draw me one time.
Wow.
Was like, hey, I got to practice. Can I do your profile? And I left the plane with a profile pic. I was like, wow. But yeah, so.
I love that. That is too cute. See, so just be open and listen, tippers. We so appreciate you listening to our pod. And we are just very thankful of you for taking time out of your busy day to listen to us. And we ask you to continue to listen, to continue to follow us wherever you get your podcasts. And if you have any topics or anything of interest, be sure to reach out to me or Shay. How should I do that, Shay?
They should follow us on Instagram at Tipping the Scales Podcast, full word. And also anywhere you get your podcast, obviously Apple. I always get Apple Podcasts or Spotify, but our link tree is in the bio of our Instagram page, and our social media on Twitter is Tipping the Scales, missing the I in tipping, because there's not a lot of characters. But yeah, that's where you can find us.
Awesome. And we want to hear from you. So thank you for listening. And until next time, thank you.
Have a great week.
See ya.